2 pieces of red paper, a light pink, and a medium pink piece of paper. They're all an eighth of an inch wide. So that is your quilling paper. If you'll notice, some of you were playing around with them earlier. They are all sort of glued here at the end. I'm doing my cameras differently today, so I'm feeling a little thrown off. But they're all glued at the end. So when we're ready to start with one of them, we're just going to pluck it off and just pull it apart. So no need to panic. It's like, no, I have one long, big circle loop. No, it's just glued because it's easier to package it up on my end if they're still sort of glued at the end. So no big deal. We're just going to pluck them when we're ready to. But in order to make our wall hanging, or if you want to put this on a greeting card later, we're actually going to start with a white strip. So I'm going to move my colors and my white background so that way you can see a little bit better.
Oh, perfect.
I'll try not to move my hands too much or too fast because I have learned that makes my phone autofocus go just bananas. So with your white strip, we're going to fold it in half. This is just, it's cardstock, so it's heavier. So we're going to fold it in half. And I'm just going to pinch it really, really well and hope my finger
That's better.
A V shape now. So then taking your quilling tool, we're going to use the rounded part, not the part with the slot, but just, I think this either have a pink or blue. I think it was, yeah, shades of blue and shades of pink. So we're going to take that, and it's going to be like when you put the fancy ribbon, or not necessarily fancy ribbon, but ribbon through a pair of scissors, and you run the scissors the length of the ribbon. We're doing the same thing with our quilling tool and our paper. We're just going to apply some pressure and pull it. And you'll notice, just even after 2 times, I already have a little bit of a nice curve going. We're going to do that till we have a lot of curve. And most of our curve, we're going to want to be up here by the tails. So we're going to do that to both sides. So let me just turn it over. I find it easiest to just flip it over so I'm curling in the same direction. So we're going to curl this into a heart shape, and then we're going to fill that with our hearts. So I'm going to go off screen so my fingers don't go crazy. Does anyone need me to show you how to do it again, or is it fairly, I don't want to say intuitive because I know it's not, but.
Looks good.
All right, then I'm going to, that way I don't make you all motion sick by curling mine off camera. And I'm just going all the way down there to that fold. And I know once it starts to curl over on the ends, I'm getting close, that I'll be able to connect it the way that I want it to. And you can always take out curl. It's going to be a lot harder to try to put more curl in once we get our shape. Okay. So there's my, I realize I'm faster because I've done it before. So I have to remind myself to pause a little bit more often. Oh, you guys are at a funny angle. I'm sorry. I was trying to fix that earlier. So when I've done this before, everyone's like upside down. Let's see. You can close this way.
Okay.
Knock it over. We'll see though if I can make it a little bit more like if you were fighting shadows with my old setup. Okay, so once we have it, this will be a fun day of playing around. Once you have it shaped, I know I have lots of shadows now, but I was just kind of laying it there to see where it's fitting on my 4x6. So I would know whether or not, oh, I want to go bigger, I want to go smaller. If you're feeling like yours is bigger than you want it to be, don't snip it yet, but have your scissors handy. Because what we're going to do, I'm going to get my white background out of the way just so it'll show up a little bit better. All right, Sarah, you're going to have to just be angled. That's all I can say. I'm sorry. Sorry, it's sideways. Whew. Let's see.
Emily, we just had a person join. Can you do a brief overview of what's happening right now?
Sure. See if I can spin it. No, because that's going to be the same problem. Welcome. I'm trying to figure out how to get my camera to be at its best today. So in your kit, you're going to have that strip of white paper. See, I have another one over here. It's way bigger than what I'm going to use, but you'll have this thicker white cardstock paper. And that's what all started, so we're going to start you there, and then you won't feel quite so behind here in a minute. So we're going to fold it in half. That's giving me an opportunity to see if I can figure out how to make my camera behave the way that I want it to. So then you're going to end up with this V shape. Then you're going to take the colored end of your quilling tool, so it's either a pink or a blue, and you're going to use your quilling tool like a pair of scissors with a piece of ribbon, and you're just going to pull your quilling tool to the end, and we're adding a bunch of curl to that paper. Sorry, I don't know that I'm going to be able to deal with it being sideways for you. Is it going to bug anybody else that I'm sideways with my hands? Okay, since nobody has said, no, I can't stand it, I'm going to assume that all is good. Okay, so I'm going to go back to the one that I've curled. So who just joined us, continue curling. You really won't truly get left behind. It'll seem like it momentarily, but you won't. So now that we have our both sides curved, we're going to shape it into a heart. So you might have to repinch the fold down there at the bottom. Now like a teardrop shape. And then you just got to play around with what shape you want your heart to be. And of course, because I'm trying to keep my fingers out of the shot, it does not want to cooperate. You can decide, come on, how much, if you want there to be some white overhang. Oh, now it's upside down. Which way do I have to go? It's trying to be kind. Now I'm going worse. Okay. So you can decide if you want one tail. So if I can get my fingers out of the shot. If you want one tail sticking in, or if you want them to join together there in the center. If you want them to join in the center, you're going to put a little bit of glue on this edge here and then just hold it together while it tacks. So then if you're wanting a full heart shape, let it sit there and tack. If you're like, nope, I like the look of one side coming in, then you're going to put glue on the edge and then let it tack to the side. You're going to be sitting here holding it for a few minutes, quite possibly. Oh, the little white plastic container in your kit is glue, and you've got toothpicks. So in case you're like, what is this white thingy? It's glue. Because I didn't want to assume that everyone would have Elmer's glue on hand. So it's a glue bottle, basically. And then you're going to be using your toothpicks to apply your glue to your paper. Okay.
I got my toothpick.
My heart is too big to fit on your white piece of paper. Then you're going to trim the tails and trim as much as you want. Make it as big or as small as you want. I'm sorry, it's going to have to go sideways in order for me to glue mine down because I'm not quite that.
Okay, got it.
That's right, I had to move my glue too. Okay, so I want mine to be off center a little bit. So I'm going to put some glue here along the edge. And then, I know, it's going to be sideways. I'm sorry. I don't want a lot of tail. I just want a little tiny bit of tail. So then I'm just literally going to hold it here until it dries. And I realize that's very much in the shadows for all of you. It looks worse on my phone than it really is on the computer. But if you're watching it on a phone or an iPad, it's probably looking very shadowy at the moment. Because it's Elmer's, it's going to take a few minutes or seconds to tack, whereas a tacky glue would be tacky pretty quickly. But I did not feel like giving you guys 2 sets of glue. There you go. If you've got tacky at home, use a little bit of tacky because this step will go a lot faster. But I didn't want to have to try to explain to you which pots of glue were tacky and which ones were not. Okay, so mine is tacked. It's still not obviously in the shape that I had it while I was holding it, but it's tacked. So now that it is tacked, I can put a layer of glue on the backside and then put it down on my white piece of paper. So to put some glue, and then I'm going to have to hold it in place. You just take some, that one's already dry. Take some glue, and you're just going to just rub it around the edges. You don't necessarily need to do all the way around the edges, just here and there. You are going to want to definitely put more towards where, oops, sorry, jumped out of the shot there for you. You're going to want to put a little bit more up here by your seam, just so your seam won't accidentally pop open. Okay. Again, I apologize. This is going to be backwards or sideways for you. So then I'm just going to go ahead and kind of, with my fingers, side, okay, and then lay it down. And then I'm going to have to hold it. So you don't get to see my final shape until it's tacked. But we're just going to let it sit there and tack, unless you're using tacky glue, in which case it will be tacky quite quickly. And let's see. Okay, mine is tacked. Hooray! All right, I'm going to attempt to hold this up closer to the camera so you can maybe see. Oh yes, beautiful. I have a couple of glue daubs hanging out on the side. If you're a perfectionist and you're like, I cannot handle having glue daubs, you're going to take your other toothpick. I've got corsage pins here, and you're just going to gently smear it along the edge. You don't want to smear it away, because then that's just going to smear it all over your paper and everyone's going to see it. If you're like, but there's still some there, pull it up the side of the heart, because then no one will see it, because it's on the edge of the heart and it won't be all over your paper. So I know I had a couple more on this side. Yep, there's a nice one right there. So again, pull that glue along the edge of the heart or up the side. Don't pull it away from the heart. Otherwise, I know it dries clear. The glue really does, but sometimes I like to have it look like, you know, what's holding it there? It's just magic. And if I show off, you know, I've smeared my glue all over the place. And it's like, oh. All right, so I have a few on the inside, so you can do the same idea. These, it's almost easier just to go ahead and pull it right up the side. And again, on the inside, we're going to be putting lots more little hearts. So I sometimes don't worry quite so much about the inside. But again, I know sometimes, and not being able to be in person, to sort of pinhole my perfectionistic couple of people and say, okay, here's how you get rid of this. We're going to see most people trying to get rid of some little hiding glue daubs. Here's how you do it if you're really wanting to be picky. And I'm trying to go a little bit slower. You noticed a couple of you come in. Yes, it's all right. We are being recorded, and I am trying to go kind of slow, just so if you did come in late, you're not feeling like you're too far behind. Okay, so let's see. So there is my heart shape. Next step, or it's always hard to try to remember that I need to pause a little bit more frequently here online, because everyone is doing it simultaneously with me rather than at their own pace like we would in person. Are we ready to start with the quilled hearts? I know not all of you have unmuted, which is totally fine, or have your videos up. And sometimes that's how I know whether or not people are ready to keep moving forward. All right. So again, I think a couple of you might have come in after I talked through how to pull your quilling pieces of paper apart. So they are all glued down here at the end. It's just manufacturing glue, because that's how they package the paper, is in one big bundle. And I can't imagine trying to get 50 or 100 or 200 pieces of paper to fit in a package. So when you're ready, you're just going to pluck them apart. I believe I included at least 2 of each color in your kit. So you should have 2 medium pinks, 2 light pinks, here we go again, and 2 red ones. All right, so I'm gonna toss that one back to the side again. For no particular reason, I'm starting with the medium pink. You may start with any one of them. So I'm gonna line up the 2 tails. And to get slightly larger hearts, we're going to pinch it at the middle. So we now have 12-inch long pieces of paper. We're ever so slightly over 12, because this paper is 24 inches. Then I'm going to line up my 2 tails again. And I'm going to go to the end and fold one more time. So now they are 6 inches. You may make your hearts in whatever size you want. So we're just tearing where we folded the paper. I will probably do a combination of 6 inches and 4 inches, just because those are kind of good. They'll fill in the space easily. Just a note, just in case you're like, but I don't want to just do hearts, then reserve at least one piece of paper, one strip, and I will show you how to do a flower. So if you're like, I would rather do flowers than fill in the little heart with hearts, then just hang out while I show you how to do hearts, and then I will demo a flower. But first, for a heart. So once you've got your pieces of paper down to 6 inches, so again, you're taking one strip of paper, folding it in half and tearing into that fold part. Then you're taking that piece of paper and folding it in half again and tearing. So now you have 6 inches. Not to be tricky, but we're going to fold the 6 inches again, but we're not going to tear. So now we have 3 inches. I'm going to move that out of the way so maybe it'll be a little bit less distracting. So then we're going to open up our V shape. The choice of trying to keep your fingers out of a shot. And then we're going to take our quilling tool with the slot end. So not the colored end where you were rolling your piece of paper. There's that little tiny slot. Let's see if I can get it close. It's always hard to try to figure out where exactly is my camera going to focus. All right, there we go. Maybe. Anyway, there's a slot, and then we're going to put the piece of paper right there inside of the slot. I don't have a lot of tail overhanging, and then we're going to roll it in toward the fold. So normally I would have my thumb hiding it, but just so you can see it in case this is your first time quilling, I'm going to try to leave my thumb out of the picture. We're going to roll down to about 1/4 inch above the fold. You can do a little bit more. I think that's roughly 1/4 inch. 1/4, 3/8, definitely not more than about 1/2. So then once you get to the fold, so there's my fold, just in case you're like, you can't see the fold. There's my fold. When you get there, you're going to put your thumb over your roll of paper. You're not actually going to roll your quilling tool and make it go further towards your fold. You're just going to hold your paper tight and then twist about 1/4 turn with your tool until it feels like, oh, I'm going to rip my paper inside of the slot. That's when you stop, and then you're going to put it in reverse just a little bit so you can pull your quilling tool out. If you don't go backwards a little bit, you're going to end up with what I call a piggy tail, where it's going to come out curly Q from here to there. So then we're going to let that go. The reason we add that extra little twist right there at the end is so that our coils don't go crazy big. Because if I didn't do that, on the other side, it'd be twice as big or 3 times as big. So you're going to want to, so I'll talk you through it again. So on the other side, remember we're rolling in toward the fold. It's really easy to forget which side is which. So then we're going to roll it in. So I put the piece of paper inside of the slot and I'm rolling in. On the second side, I tend to go in just a little bit further. Let's see if I can do it vertically. Because invariably, I can never get them to line up exactly. See, autofocus. There we go. More or less will focus here for me. So I've still got it all rolled tightly. So then I'm going to hold onto the paper. And just with the tool, I'm going to do about 1/4 turn with my quilling tool. I'm not actually rolling the paper. Once I meet a lot of resistance, you stop. And you're reversing your tool a little bit till it feels loose. And then you're going to gently pull it out. When you're adding that extra pressure, that tension or stress to the paper is keeping it from expanding very, very quickly and getting really, really big. If you want bigger hearts, then don't tighten your paper as you are at the end of rolling, and they will get a lot bigger. So there's my one with some extra tension. When I first started quilling, no one talked to me about tension. It's kind of like if you knit, sometimes you're told you knit too hard, you're too tense, and you need to remind yourself to relax. It's the same thing with quilling. So this time I'm not going to put any extra stress or tension here into my paper. And then some people are just naturally extremely loose, relaxed quillers. And you see they're so big they don't even want to be next to each other. Okay, so that was the same piece of paper. See if I can get closer for you. Bear with me, it's gonna move. So the one more on the left had no extra tension. The one there on the right had the extra tension. And it's about twice the size difference. So adding that little bit of tension is going to change dramatically the size of your finished hearts. Okay, I will walk you through how to make another heart, just in case some of our people who join us a little bit later are just now finally able to catch up and feeling like they're on top of things. So you're taking one of your 6-inch long pieces of paper and folding it in half. We're not going to tear it unless you want little teeny tiny little hearts. We're putting the tail of the paper inside of the slot, and we're rolling it in toward the fold. So I can flip it up. All right, I'm gonna go ahead and add the extra tension this time. So again, I'm just gonna kind of not really pinch the paper, but I'm holding the paper tight, and then I'm twisting my quilling tool around towards the fold. And then once it gets really tight, then I'll back it up just a little bit. So my quilling tool will gently slip off. And then I'm gonna do the same thing on the other side. So I'm gonna put this tail in the slot and roll it in toward the fold. And on the second side, I always go down just a little bit further than I think I did on that first side, just so that they will line up a little bit more. And then again, I'm gonna grasp my paper, give my tool an extra little twist, and then back it up so my tool will come out. Because what happens when you naturally or unnaturally add that extra stress to your paper. Let's see if I can get my tool really close. Looks like I got a pointy eyeball coming at you. Come on, focus. No, all right, it doesn't want to focus. Anyway, if you look at your slot on your quilling tool, when you add extra tension, you are basically closing up that slot. So there's no space in your slot. You're adding so much tension to it. So if you were to pull out your quilling tool from your paper while there's all that tension, the paper's gonna go with the tool because there's no way for the paper to release from the tool. So that's why you have to go backwards a little bit to release the paper from the slot. So it just undoes a little bit of that tension that you added, or undoes a little bit. Sounds like my 2-year-old or my 5-year-old. Undoes, mommy, it undoes. You need undoes. Anyway, so there are some hearts. I will make some more, but I also talked about maybe making a flower. So let me jump over here to the red because I think you guys will be able to see it maybe a little bit better with my wonderful shadows. Okay, so because if you have a ruler on hand, it'll make your life slightly easier, but we can live without. So you're just gonna get to eyeball it into about fifths because we need 5 petals for a flower. So I'm not actually gonna fold it till I see how close they come. There's 4, 5. Ooh, I can make them a little bit longer. So I'm eyeballing it. And yes, I intentionally let go of them all. They figure out about, or if you've got a ruler on hand, they're going to be about 4 1/4, 4.5 inches long. I could cheat and use the ruler right here in front of me, but that's not very kind to everyone else who does not have a ruler right there in front of them. Okay, you know what? I'm going to call it close enough, even though this one's going to be a little bit long. I can always just pull that one a little bit more and kind of blend in that extra length. It's not going to matter. Obviously, if you had one that was twice the length, that would be a little bit more obvious. But I'm going to, let's see, where am I getting 6? 3. I am. I'm going to get 6. I don't want 6. There's 1, 2, 3. Oh, there we go. Yep, I had too many loops going. I was going to have like a 7-petaled flower. So yes, you only want to see 3 loops. Sorry, I'm trying to keep it slightly out. Okay, there we go. I can live with that. So, yep, sorry, I had way too many loops there to begin with, if you're eyeballing it. So you have 2 loops on one side, 2 tails, and 1 loop on the other side. So then you're just going to go ahead and collapse those down, collapse them down, and then you're just going to tear off where you've got your folds. And you should end up with, nope, I still managed to goof. I have 4. All right, well, close enough. We'll start with 4. This is where you use your second piece of paper. Okay. So then for a flower, there's so many different shapes that you can make for a flower. It's the same idea. Get my hearts out of the shot here a little bit. The tail goes inside of the slot, and we're going to roll it to the end. I am not going to add extra tension to this. In fact, it just wants to come off. So what you have right now, if I hadn't, accidentally pulled it off of my quilling tool, is a tight circle, which you could just leave it at this size and shape and have a little teeny tiny flower. Or you can put it down and let it expand. Yeah, you guys can sort of see that. Maybe I should have gone for lighter rather than darker. Once it's expanded, you're going to pick up your shape and put a little bit of glue on the inside of that tail. A little bit does go a long way. And then we're going to smooth down that tail. Don't worry, I'll be making a few of these. So in case you're like, I didn't see all of it, I will be making more. So I'm going to smooth it down. Right now you have a loose circle. I'm going to pinch it once and get a teardrop shape. If you do 5 teardrops, that will make a beautiful flower because then you can glue all 5 points together. Or if you're wanting to mix up your colors, you could do a different color as a tight circle and then glue the 5 petals around it for another option. All right, so in case you missed the flower or the first petal, tail in through the slot, and you're going to roll to the end. I am not intentionally adding any extra tension or anything like that when I get to the end. So there's our tight circle. We're just going to pull it off and let it expand. Some people like to make all of their loose circles first and then glue them all at the end. That's fine too. I just like knowing that each shape is ready for the next step. So then a little bit of glue here on the inside of that tail, so you can smooth down that tail. And then I'm going to pinch it right where I glued it because it's going to just make that tail stick to the rest of my loop so much better. Okay, so there's 2. Yeah, you guys can see them. If I can see them on my bigger screen, then you guys can too. Okay, so here's petal number 3. I'll go a little bit faster. I can go faster if I don't have to hide my paper as much. See? Pull it. Let it expand. You can even let it expand on your fingertip. Glue down the tail. Move down that tail, and then again, I like to pinch it right where I glued it because I don't have to wait for it to tack. It just takes care of itself that way. Okay, petal number 4. So letting it expand.
Okay. Got the glue.
I'll glue that time.
Okay.
It's number 4, and my last one. Oh, way too much glue. So if you get too much glue, that's the one nice thing about the toothpick or a corsage pin is you can smear it off and get rid of a lot of that extra. Okay, so I have my 5 petals. They're still showing up there for you. Awesome. Let's see. I feel like I should stop and find out if anyone else is making a flower so I know whether or not to just show you the next step or if I need to pause. I'm just going to roll through everyone's intent or unintent faces. So no, I'm still seeing some rolling. All right. So probably working on another flower petal or 2. All right. So if you're wanting to do this flower and then glue all of the points together, and you're like, but I don't want to use up any of my pinks, I'm going to try to maximize my paper. You can, if you have any like little seed beads. Also, growing up, they were called Indian beads. Who knows if that's even a correct term to call them anymore, but growing up, they were the little teeny tiny itsy bitsy beads. But you could get some itsy bitsy beads and put them there in the middle. And that adds a nice little center if you're trying to find some way of helping stretch your paper. I guess while I'm waiting for everyone else to finish doing flower petals, if you want quilling supplies like today, well, not today because you guys are all having snow today. I'm getting my snow tomorrow. So if I wanted paper today, or if you want your paper tomorrow or Tuesday when the snow is kind of, dissipated, your best two bets there around the Puyallup area are either the Ben Franklin up in Bonnie Lake or any of the Hobby Lobbies. Those are the only two stores there that I have ever found that carry quilling supplies. So hit up one of those two. Joann's and Michael's, just to save you the gas and the time and the frustration, do not carry any quilling supplies. If you're like, no, I can wait a few days to a week, then order them through quilling.com or go to Amazon if you wish. Some people have been like, I'm over Amazon, I want another option. Quilling.com is where I actually buy all of my paper. It usually comes in 24-inch lengths, very rarely, but occasionally it is just in a 22-inch length. They usually almost always about once a week to maybe once every 10 days has some sort of a special on. So I tend to hit them up on a special so I get the extras. However, it takes a lot of paper to sometimes hit the dollar amount that they are looking for, but add a quilling book and you'll get to your total needed very, very quickly. Otherwise, the other main US-based quilling supplier is quilledcreations.com, and all of their paper is a little bit thicker for the most part, and it also only comes in 18-inch lengths. So if you're like, no, I want the extra 6 inches, then you get to go through quilling.com. Otherwise, Quilled Creations is your other option. Amazon has a plethora of quilling supplies. I cannot vouch for the quality of them because I have not bought any quilling supplies other than your tools from Amazon. But in terms of their paper, I have no idea. Sometimes it might say an 1/8 of an inch, which is what we're using today and is sort of the gold standard for quilling. But it's more like, what would that be? 3/16 rather than 1/8. So it's not quite the same height. So if you're looking for something that's this exact height, I don't want to guarantee Amazon as an option. Okay, hopefully I've chatted enough there briefly to catch everyone up with flower petals. So once you've got your 5, we're going to put a little bit of glue. You're doing this flower shape. Yep. Get myself back in the shot. We're going to put a little bit of glue on both sides of the point. And then you got to kind of work quickly, even though it's Elmer's and doesn't tack quite as quickly. For whatever reason, once you start assembling a flower, it always seems to tack just a little bit. Work quickly. Be careful. I'm not there to help rescue quilling projects. Do not glue it to the table, and most especially, please don't glue it to another piece of paper, because if you glue it to another piece of paper and don't realize that you've glued it to another piece of paper, you're going to have that other piece of paper part of your project forever. So please be conscious of what is underneath your quilling as you glue. If you're on a table and you use too much glue, not a big deal. I'll pretend that I have glued mine to the table. I really haven't. You can take your toothpick and then gently scoop underneath your quilling to lift it up off of the table. If you've realized you've glued it to another piece of paper, if you do this like immediately before the glue dries, you will have a pretty good success rate in terms of getting your quilling up off of another piece of paper. But I'm going to let it, can I wait? Oh, I thought I had a question. Okay, so we're gonna let it dry. Again, you can add like a little tight circle to the top if you want a different type of center, or go get some beads, or just leave it the way it is. So then going back to our big heart, trying to make sure that I don't keep anyone past we only have 20 more minutes. Can you believe it? So then once you have, let your flour dry. So if you're gonna use your flowers, let them dry, let them dry. If you're using your hearts, I'm just doing a bunch of hearts. I feel like this is so far away from me. Let's bring you closer. You're going to just put them inside. You can see how they fill up the space, how many more you want, where you want them positioned. I've only used one color here for my hearts, so I'm gonna have a very, what would be the right unicolored type heart? Anyway, trying to figure out my Greek and Latin prefixes. So once you figure out what you like, it's a what?
Monochromatic.
There we go. My monochromatic colored heart. Yes. It's like, no. That sounds like a musical term, but anyway. Mono, like, isn't it? Anyway. You'll have me figuring out words. So then once you're happy with, yes, I keep hearing my name. And I'm like, okay, am I hearing a question? But then the question stops. So I'm like, okay, all right. So once you figure out where you want your hearts and how many, I'm going to just dump them all out because it's easier than trying to remember where I want them all exactly. You're going to take each one of your hearts. Whoop, come back here, you. And you're going to get your glue. And you're going to smear a layer on the centers of your little hearts. So once you've got your glue there, they're going to want to expand because it's paper and you added some tension, so they're going to want to expand quite quickly. So put a little paper here in the center. Don't worry about going in between the coils. Once you put this guy down, he's not going anywhere. So put your glue on the outside and then lay it down wherever you want. You could use tweezers because then you'll be able to adjust exactly where you want that heart to go a little bit more easily. It wasn't until very, very recently that I'd become a fan of tweezers. If you'd taken my classes, I would have told you, no. Tweezers are overrated or underrated. But now, tweezers for some things. You're going to put your glue on your coils and then set it down and then move on to the next one. Until you push down the heart on your paper, you can ever so slightly move it around. But once you put your glue on it, you are committed to wherever it lands. So then once you've got your glue on there, you're just going to push it down just so all those coils connect with that glue and it tacks in place. Oh, sorry, it's backwards or sideways again for you all. You're going to use the same process. I think my flour is dry now. Yep. Or dry enough. You're going to do the same sort of approach. So you're going to put your glue. I always just aim for a little bit here in the coils because those are the ones that are going to want to spring up potentially, depending on how they came off of your quilling tool. And then you're going to just glue down your flour. Or you can put your flowers on the outside. Sometimes before I start gluing them, actually not I haven't glued anybody else. You could even glue them at an angle if you wanted more of an angled look. So it kind of looks like you're in a garden. Depending on if you made your flowers a smidgen smaller, if you'd actually used, closer to that 4-inch mark, like I did not do, they wouldn't seem quite so big, but you could put them on the edges. Or if you're like, what, I'm not going to use this as a wall hanging. I really don't, this isn't me. I want to put them through the mail. Don't use the big white heart because the big white heart won't make it through the mail unless you're willing to pay the extra postage. But your little flowers and your smaller hearts will go through the mail just fine because they are not at a 1/4 of an inch tall. I know. So I learn what the height is for my quilled carts. What questions do you have that I can help answer? Just again, in the interest of time, I don't want it to get to the, 2:58 and you're like, but you didn't answer X. I need to know X. I was like, what? Just make sure I have time to answer X's. You can either use the chat, you can unmute yourself, whatever is easiest. Amongst the, I think it's 8, 9 of you.
Emily, do you have a finished product to show us?
Ooh, let me see. I know it's buried in the closet. I thought about pulling it out because mine has the word love and glitter all over it. Let me see. Wow. I think this is the correct bin because I had to send Lauren a picture, what, a couple of weeks ago? So this one was not exactly what we did today, but it's very similar. So it's got those flowers. I've been learning some. So these are the exact same flowers of what we just made. These, oops, sorry. I keep forgetting. Like, oh yes, that's right. I'm crooked. I don't have shadows so bad, but I got, well, I'm crooked. So anyway, these are the flowers that we just made. These just have one more pinch on the opposite side from where we pinched ours. So these are called teardrops. These are marquees. And so this heart was a little bit more work than what we did today. This was one of my learning curve parts. But
What did you use, Emily, for the round green, the stem?
these,
Yeah.
so it's actually green strips of paper on top of a green watercolor heart. Way more work than I will do, unless it's like a custom order type thing. So if you wanted a ring of green around your heart, I would say take a green marker or a green colored pencil. You could even do a green crayon and draw around the outside and maybe even the inside of your heart. And
Okay.
then add that sort of green look. And then the leaves on this one are just more little tiny teardrops.
Okay. Very cute. I want to remember that.
Flowers until after I'd left all of my kits behind there for Lauren before I moved. So you didn't get green, I'm sorry. An afterthought.
Oh, that's cute. That's very cute.
I'm impressed.
Yeah.
You left the kits before you moved?
I did.
Sure did.
You are so organized. When did you move?
We pulled away the evening of December 12th. So I think I dropped them the weekend before because I think not all libraries are open on Mondays, and I don't think Lauren was there. Again, I'm trying to remember because some libraries were like, nope, we are closed on Sundays and Mondays.
I
Don't
think
even bother.
it probably was a Tuesday.
Was it a Tuesday?
Somewhere between two. Well, I usually work Tuesday through Saturday, so it was somewhere in there.
Yeah, somewhere in there. So,
I'm extra impressed. Wow. Thank you, Emily. Thank you. Thank you.
so
Thank you, Emily. That is so fun.
okay, so there is the heart. So I think I sent Lauren as the example one.
Oh, I love it
That's
that
the
you wrote
picture
the
of the
calligraphy inside.
And lots of, yeah, this one does not have green around the outside. I've been playing around with some of my die cuts that I had and some sparkly paper. I don't recommend sparkly paper and die cuts at all because it just, they did not want to cooperate. They did not want to work together. But
Emily, could you do me a favor and put the green one back? I'm taking a picture of it. I already lost my memory of it. I got it.
and if you're
Okay.
planning on doing calligraphy in it, you should do the calligraphy probably before you put down your heart.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Because I think when I did this one, this was one of my first ones, I wanted the calligraphy, but it was really hard to know where because trying to do my calligraphy over on top of the heart was just, it was,
Too hard. Oh, yeah, that would be very hard. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
where's the other one in case?
Yes, that's lovely. I took a picture of that one too, in case I can't remember. Oh my gosh, that's horrible.
Fair enough.
Oh, lovely. Oh, lovely. Well, Emily, don't you have a lot of snow back there like us?
No. It's been bitterly cold. We're supposed to get up to 10 inches by Monday night. So we'll catch up. We'll catch up. But then we're barely above zero. I think the high today is 8 degrees. And that does not account for the wind chill. So you have the snow. I have the bitter cold. I think next week it's supposed to be even worse in terms of coldness, and it's supposed to dip down to, well, below zero, especially overnight. So
What part of Kansas?
we're just outside of Wichita.
Okay. Okay.
It's where we had family.
Oh, good. My family's from Kansas too, but I can't think. It's kind of like a lady's name, Salina or Salimi or something like that. Salina.
I think they pronounce it differently though. Salina.
Salina.
It looks like it should be Selena, but I think they. That's a West Coast pronunciation of a town in the Midwest. So it is probably pronounced differently.
Yeah, at least you don't have the humidity.
Not currently. Not currently. Come summer, I'm sure that will change. Does anyone else have any other quilling questions?
How long have you been doing quilling?
I have been doing quilling. Would you rather have my age or the total number of years?
And your kids love it too. What a perfect place to be inside and quilling.
Yes. So I've been quilling now for about 27 years.
Oh my gosh, you only look like you're 20.
No, that one's come and gone quite a while ago.
You look like a kid. Oh
So
my
I have
goodness.
an extra challenge. Mine had a split base white. So right here,
Yes.
split. So I just used it, the paper. And then I also made my flower bigger
Uh-huh.
in the big edge there. Just
It
for
was
a
great.
little variety.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, I think that's a good idea. Let's see. I'm gonna fix it.
Thank you. Yeah, in case everyone starts, disappearing on me, thank you for coming because that invariably happens and I don't get a chance to say thank you and goodbye. So yes.
Thank you, everyone. And I want to let everybody know just for the upcoming week, we're closed on Monday for President's Day, so we will be back in business on Tuesday.
Sweet.
Is this the library that you're talking about? Oh, you're the librarian.
Yes, I am.
Okay.
You used to want to email and thank for having me here today and to get me to come back. So yes, you can send all those happy emails to her, Ms. Lauren Johnson, if I recall correctly.
That is my name.
And so, yeah, you can email her. She and I were chatting before we started about doing a, is it quilling? We talked about doing like a quilling dogs and cats or something like that, or an origami animal program. So that is on our horizon.
Oh,
Okay.
Emily, I still have my bird that you taught. I'll get it off my refrigerator.
All right, there's Lauren's email for everyone.
So you taught this to me on my
Yeah.
first, and that
I
was
wanna see
very
it.
fun. It was
Oh,
very
okay.
cool.
Uh-huh.
And, it's so cute. It's nice and sturdy with a big magnet.
Uh-huh.
That's a very doable project if you wanted to do something similar to that.
Yeah, I thought about
Yeah.
magnets. Well, who knows? We could just do a bunch of different animal magnets.
Yeah, another animal would be great. Yeah.
Ooh, magnets would be fun.
Yeah.
Totally. Because let's see, we have the bird that you just showed. Let's see, I can do flamingos, owls, fish. The geckos are all.
Take a picture of that. I'll put it up again, Kim. I'm going to take a picture of it. Okay. Just in case I forget. Thank you. I can run over to Kim's. I can run over to your house and
You
get
gonna
it.
do it, Emily?
We don't know yet. We're still in the planning stage.
If you did it like in September, it'd be fun to do an owl.
Yes. I love owls anyway, so I'll do owls at the time of the year.
An owl. Oh, cute.
Let's see.
Those guys. Yeah. Oh, that sounds like a cute idea.
There's a giant owl.
Hmm.
Working. This one works better. There's a giant
Very
owl.
cute.
Oh,
That is cute.
that's sweet. Oh, that's cute.
Oh, that's a snowflake. Who cares about a snowflake today?
Wow.
I know I discovered owls in here a second ago. Ta-da, there we go. All right, now there's so many of them here. I got to move them all. Okay. This is my favorite one when it comes to owls, but that's a me thing.
Oh, that's darling.
Oh, let me see. I'd let my cat out. Oh, that's
Oh, those are cute too.
that's cute. I love their noses.
Yeah,
So cute.
using up quilling scraps.
And she put it on a log. Oh, that's cute.
It's a piece of bark. Yep,
Oh, that's a piece of bark.
it is. I'm going to do some with pieces.
Emily, have you done any dogs?
Oh, yes. I don't think I have any dogs currently on hand. Let's see. Let's see what was in there. Oh, I have a panda in there. So no, I don't have a dog on hand. Because I've also done these little teeny tiny animals. I don't think it'll, yeah, I can attempt to lay it down. It's going to have to be sideways though, so I'm sorry.
Let's see.
I am in the process of writing a book.
Wow.
It's my 21, but they all fit on a penny. So I have the entire alphabet. And I
Wow.
one with a dog.
Oh, they sit on a penny, isn't it?
That's
Yeah.
so cute.
Oh my goodness. Did you make those up, Emily?
I did.
Oh,
Yeah.
those are, I love giraffe. Oh, I love
So fun.
Oh my goodness, they sit on a penny.
Yep. Because they're so little.
They're so little. That is so sweet. And so you did the alphabet.
I did. Some animals I had multiples of. So for the P animal, I have like a pug dog. But
Okay, not a pig. Didn't you
I
do
have
a pig?
a pig and a panda bear and a pug dog.
Oh my gosh. That is really sweet. We can't see anything.
And I know I took it away because it was like it's a much bigger frame.
Oh, okay. We're just seeing the
My
the
work
blue.
table. I guess I can bring back these guys so you have something to look at.
You.
Other questions about quilling as we have a couple more minutes.
So about
Okay.
4 minutes to go.
4 minutes to go. Let's see.
I have a quick question on the quilling tool. Is one just as good as the other?
Yes, yes. Typically when I buy them and I come to an in-person class, I take them home with me, but that doesn't seem very fair when we're all over Zoom. So I included them all. So I typically try to find the cheapest ones, not necessarily cheap in terms of quality, just cheap in terms of price. So most quilling tools, typically if you go to a store or order one online, will range anywhere from $3 to about $15. But for the most part, all quilling tools are equal, other than some of them will have a slot and some of them will not have a slot. And the ones that don't are basically like quilling around a sewing needle or a corsage pin tip. It is pointy and it is sharp. That is how quilling initially, traditionally was done. And because who wants to go to the extra work, someone came up with a brilliant idea of putting a little slot in the tip so it's easier to hold your paper there and then roll it that way. However, both tools are still very commonly available. I only do the slotted tool just because it is so much easier, and especially for people who are just learning, it is the way to go. So if you're buying a quilling tool or want to buy someone else one, make sure that you buy one with a slot, or at least that it comes in the set that has a slot. But yeah, in terms of, there is no good, bad, or avoid like the plague kind of ones. I have learned over the years the depth of the slot will vary, and there's no way of knowing if you've got a deep slot or a narrow or shallower slot. Sometimes it will be disclosed on like the item description, but not always.
Our Rotary Club runs a Hounds on the Hill project in August. And we were just talking about different things to do there. And I thought it might be kind of fun to do an art project
Oh,
Maybe
totally.
even with quilling, if we buy, because the quilling tool is not very expensive and the paper is not too,
Oh yeah,
you
paper's.
could entertain a lot of little older children
Yeah.
by making dogs.
Oh, totally. Yeah. So if you decide to go that route, that's actually where I do break down and go through Amazon. I used to be able to get the quilling tools at wholesale prices, but that wholesaler has gone out of business. And so I just found them on Amazon for $1 a piece,
Yeah.
which is, it's like, hey, I can afford to lose $1 a piece in terms of a kit versus they're $5 each. And it's like, oh, that gets to be a little bit more steep. But yeah, shop around. Because most of the quilling companies are going to charge you more for a quilling tool versus like a third party.
Well, thank you very much. It was very
You're welcome.
interesting.
Thank
Oh,
you.
good.
Really, my tool did not work.
Your tool did not work.
No, it didn't. So I ended up just using a toothpick. It didn't, it's too small. The slot's too small to put the paper in. So I've just been using a toothpick the whole time. And I mean, it's working.
Oh, good. Yeah, I forgot. I think I still had gold ones. I hadn't discovered the ones on Amazon yet that are pink and blue.
Yeah, this slit is really, really, really tiny. And
Yes. Yeah, we're very shallow.
Yeah.
Kim or Emily, the one thing I really learned a lot from you that I did not know, that you reversed it to make it come out. I was always trying to pull it out and then it pulls the paper, you know, things like that. That was really helpful to
Good.
know reverse that.
Just
I
to
mean-
yep. Tell you know if you're a hard quiller, like, oh, I'm going to put a lot of effort into this.
Yeah, and then you get it stuck.
Like,
And so by reversing it, that is just so much more. I did not know that. Oh, that helps so much.
oh,
I'm
good.
going to have fun doing it. Where I'm not,
You'll have more fun now.
yeah, pulling it all apart. Oh my goodness.
Everybody show your product now.
Mine's not quite finished. Oh, one.
Oh, you show it like that? There, I guess.
Oh.
Oh, there. Okay. I have more little hearts, but I didn't stick them in. I'll stick them in. Oh, that is so fun. Oh, I'm going to do more.
Oh, good.
This is fun. I could.
Especially with all the snow. Which will only last a day or two here. Everybody's so excited. We go, oh, but we've only got 3 days or 2 days to enjoy it. Darn. Oh, well. That's the way it goes. We'll be back to rain again. But that's okay.
Well, thank you very much. I have to leave now. Bye-bye.
Always, yeah,
Okay.
absolutely. At this point.
Coming.
Thank you for
Thank you.
coming.
Do it again. Do it again. Okay, girlfriends. Thank you.
Alright,
Bye,
thanks, guys.
Kim.
I'm going to end.
All right. We'll see you later. Thank you, Emily.
Thank you.